Well, hello and welcome back to the Wicked Wild Podcast, a feral podcast for the uncivilized horror fans. And we have finally made it. It is officially Camp Wicked Wild time. It is October 2nd, and we're beside ourselves with glee. We're so excited that you've planned to join us for our second event. I can't believe it's already been a year. I can't believe these fine folks have decided to continue to talk and nonsense with me for another year. So we're going to spend October together going through a few movies with the theme that started at the very first review of 2023, Year of the Wiener. And so we're going to get into that here in a minute, but I need to talk to my family first. I'm going to start with Eli from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How's it going, Eli?
Well, just facing the every new day as it comes, because every new day I find out about 11 new things that are trying to kill us. So,
yeah, for anybody who's not been keeping up, Eli is the member of the crew here that we're all pretty sure will be the one who's living on the streets with a sandwich board. The end is near. So
it's not even on the.
He's broken his brain in 2020.
I don't want to be. When I finally snap, I'm going to get as far away from people as possible. I'm currently looking at various caves on abandoned property, so I can make my compound. So that's where I'm at.
Well, before all of that, Eli, I did have a question for you. So obviously we're now in October. You've probably already got them up. If I know you and your wife at all, you probably got these up mid-September.
September 1st.
Gotcha. Well, I'm very proud of you for that. But was there any new, exciting, spooky season decorations that y'all invested in this year? I'm invested in the storyline.
September 1st, I had to drag the 13 and a half boxes. Well, first I was told they were in the attic. So I crawled in the crawl space and oops, that was the Christmas stuff, not the Halloween stuff. The Halloween stuff's in the basement of the steps. So then I had to crawl out of the attic, go downstairs, crawl into the hiding place in the basement of the steps.
You need to leave that out though, because November 1st, that's all going up.
Nope, I refuse. So then I had to drag all that stuff up steps, and I was thinking, okay, we'll put this up. Wait a minute. No, now we have to go to various places to get updated new decorations to put up. So we did that, and then we had to unload all this shit to decorate. And then I was told, oh, we have the wrong sticky things. We're missing this. Every day is something new added. So it's been fantastic. I feel like I live in a spirit Halloween.
Oh, cool. Well, my original question was, what new exciting things did you get?
Yeah, of course. Oh man, there's
I appreciate the story,
but not the backstory.
There's so much. We have there's some new pictures. There's a felt skull, which I don't quite understand.
Oh, very cool.
But cool, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some various figures that's been put up. Some new ghost, some new pumpkins.
Ooh.
This weird candlestick thing. Of course, we had to get our dog a Halloween themed bed for our living room. So he has
a no-brainer.
Did you get the coffin one?
No, he got the Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin one.
Oh, okay, there's a coffin one I'm thinking about getting.
Our dog would probably be afraid of that because he's afraid of everything. So.
And that voice you heard was my buddy Jamie up in New York. And I know that there's another little four-legged child up there that probably has all the Halloween decorations herself. Is that correct?
She's had homemade costumes. She has had, most of her toys are Halloween themed, horror themed. So,
well, to that point, my question for you was, what is Sari's costume for 2023, or what are her top 3 options?
I don't really have. I was thinking, because she had big year this year. I met the best character in the world, Art the Clown, that I might make her be Art the Clown this year.
Ooh, with the daisy glasses?
Fairly easy. With the she already has wore the glasses, and all I need is a little top hat and the little black and white, I'm thinking, because they hit it off really well. So I think maybe we'll honor that situation.
Well, with her white coat, that would work really well.
Exactly. Like I know it sounds like I'm being lazy, but most people that listen do not know. I've done homemade fucking costumes, and they take it a long time for a dog. So I think I need a break. So yeah, maybe if we do something where she gets dressed up, we'll see.
And
her rescue has a party all the time. So maybe,
really?
And they won't understand. They'll just think she's a clown. They never understand my costumes. So it's fine. I'm used to it.
But you'll know, and Sarah, you'll know,
I know,
and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And then we've got John up in Detroit, Michigan, Rock City, Motor City, Motown. What's up, John?
Man, Camp Wicked Wild's what's up. That's what's up.
It is happening, my man. It is happening.
We are here. It's only been T-minus. This is like almost a 2-year anniversary at this point.
Isn't that crazy? It does not feel like it's been a year.
It's almost like it's every October.
Not every October, Jeff. Just the last 2.
There's that sass we love. So, John, I know this has been a big year for you. Obviously, you've been working for the last couple of years to get your home.
Oh, that's true.
Where you want it. You are moved in, my man. But
I'm
I did
here.
have the curiosity. What is your neighborhood known for their trick or treat traffic?
Unfortunately, the neighborhood will probably be quite vacant from the children because our downtown area has like a cordon off trick or treat where people go very hard for Halloween in our downtown area.
Okay.
So the kids all congregate and they basically block off all the streets. So I'll still have candy just in case they come. But no fancy new decorations here. I have to repurpose just the old stuff I had because all my money went into this house. So I got no disposable income at all.
And nothing to prove to a bunch of 10-year-olds.
Correct. I mean, I would be the psychopath that would do like a whole scene with multiple skeletons like murdering each other in the front yard if I had money. But
those days are ahead of you, not behind you. They're coming.
It's true. It's true, Dave.
And you just brought up something I hadn't thought about it, but I do get the sense, even in our neighborhood, and we live in a small town, that the days of the house to house trick or treating are slowly dying. It seems like it's like churches do their trunk or treats, and then the Chamber of Commerce in the city does the big block event and all that kind of stuff, which is all great. And I get that that's it's probably a better option, to be honest, than a bunch of random
COVID
kids
did
wandering
that too.
around. Yeah. But it is kind of bittersweet to think that there's a generation coming that probably will have no point of reference to the walking around to the weirdos' houses that you live around, the neighbors that you never talk to, and going and getting waxed Dracula teeth and
fighting with my mom that I have to wear a coat over my Halloween costume.
Exactly, ruining the whole look,
ruining everything. It makes no fucking sense. Sometimes we had to build things in underneath, so at least like.
Oh, I feel
almost getting hit by the fire department because they would be speeding around to make sure no one got hit.
That's a you problem.
That's a West Virginia thing, I think.
They cut corners hard. Like you'd be like walking around the corner because like you'd have to walk like
we've got to keep you safe.
Like fucking 2 miles to the next house. There's nothing in between. They'd like cut the corner like living in maximum overdrive. With your like fucking plastic faceplate on, you can't see shit.
Oh, man. No wonder you love that movie.
I do.
And then as we always do in Camp Wicked Wild, we always invite some special friends of the podcast to come on and join the conversation with us. If you remember last year in our first Camp Wicked Wild, we did a big finale with Jeff from Campfire Tales. Had such a good time talking about Friday the 13th, part 3 with him last year that we brought him in to kick off Camp Wicked Wild this year. So what's up, Jeff?
I was just thinking about what John said, and I've been to Detroit, and downtown looks like Halloween all the time. So
I wasn't saying downtown Detroit, Jeff.
I don't
live in Detroit.
I don't think you have to worry about having fake skeletons on your lawn.
I will tell you, Jeff, you come to town, I'll show you Detroit. Detroit has changed quite a bit, sir.
I kind of love how much John defends his
years since I've been there. So, but I'm doing well. I'm doing real well. Excited to be here. Glad you guys. Thanks for inviting me back here. So I'm anxious to see what
family at this point, after all.
What you guys think of this movie and give some insight into it. So
yeah, we're looking forward to hearing what you think of this movie.
But I have all kinds of comments about this movie.
I was going through my notes from last year, Jeff, and I was looking at some of the things that we discussed last time, and then I realized how excited I got. Literally giddy, like 10-year-old giddy, that you were going to be on, because literally the day that we're recording this, which obviously isn't October 2nd, it's a little before that, but the day we're recording this is a big day in our relationship, Jeff. And I just had to ask, I want to be the first, hopefully, to ask you, how the hell were those Mothman pancakes?
Okay. All right.
Well, I checked my calendar. I have a reminder that popped up this morning. And it said, remind Eli to give me a sword, because I did not receive any Mothman pancakes. And it's a little bit ridiculous.
Wait, I'm not understanding. I had a stone guarantee from the Mole King himself that you would get these Mothman. I am fully confident that you've misunderstood or miscommunicated something along the way, Jeff. We know you were.
I would have even taken pancakes that there was a dead moth on. I didn't even get
it. Hey, let me let the Mole King just make a statement here. I am barely surviving every day on Pepsi Zero, these cinnamon chews, and pure hatred.
For me,
for everyone and everything. The world has never been so lucky that I haven't been granted superpowers, because then I would be the biggest threat. So listen, if someone wants to come get my sword, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck.
I'll just tell Mary to get it for me. I'm sure she'll be glad it's out of the house.
She's afraid to come to the basement. She won't get it.
Jeff, I'm just real confused. If I had pearls, I would be grasping them at this point, because my understanding was there was no way in hell that you were going to go through the last 365 days without Mothman pancakes.
That's what I was.
Am I misremembering that?
That's what I was told. No, we can go back and check the footage if we need to.
So how hurt are you, I guess, is the follow-up question.
Well,
I mean, all swords and all that aside, I mean, as far as core friendships and I mean,
well, I don't want to air our dirty laundry here in the Camp Wicked Wild. This is supposed to be a fun time to celebrate.
Supposed to be a safe
horror movies, but let's just say that I'm deeply wounded. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, hey, and I'm just going to say this. Too bad.
Wow.
I said it. Too bad.
Dave may or may not have decided to put that in as a question because I know where Eli stands on the specific movie.
Yeah, you son of a bitch. I know how you are.
And on that point, before we get into the movie review, I'm going to hand off, because from what I understand, Eli has something he might want to talk about with our audience in a Wicked Whispers.
Listen, it's like the universe knew we're getting ready to start this glorious month, because it's all just falling apart. It seems like everything we've been talking about has been coming to a fucking head, and shit's about to pop, just like a nasty boil on the ass cheek of society. So let's take a recap, shall we? Here's where we're at with the Whispers this week. This has all happened in the last week, mind you. Number one, Bigfoot is running around South Carolina. Various pictures have been taken. The pictures, people are already trying to disprove them. They're having trouble, which is concerning. Also, some folks at various campsites who've had run in with this creature has said it's not very pleasant and seem to chase them from the areas. So Bigfoot, even he's had enough of the human race's shit. And he's claimed South Carolina as his own.
Good for him.
So just when you think, well, okay, the land's not safe with Bigfoot on it, how about we just go live out in the ocean and just try to avoid those hurricanes? Well, this week on GPS satellite, they caught the outline of a shark swimming up the North Pacific that, if they are to believe their satellite measurements, is about 45 feet long.
Sweet.
That's too big.
The one guy says
too much.
That one guy, the one gentleman who saw it said, I don't want to say it. He goes, but theoretically, that'd be the size of a megalodon. Megalodons have entered the picture for 2023. That's where we're at here.
Jason Statham warned us.
Yeah.
Also, not only is that occurring, right? They also keep finding these weird eggs in the deep ocean that they don't want to bring up because they don't know what they are, and what they're describing as yellow goop. These balls of yellow goop, which they don't know what they are. Currently the running theory is because for the last month, the sea has been swirling in biblical proportions, making hurricanes. Like I make farts fucking every day. And they think things are stirring up in the deep ocean, just kind of coming up and just kind of settling. They don't know what any of them are. So that's kind of concerning. If you remembered, I keep preaching about AI. Bunch of reporters are firing on all cylinders this week because they've been playing and testing with AI. Some of the things that have come out is multiple AIs are coming up with their own language.
Sweet.
So these assholes had the bright idea of asking other AIs to try to decipher it. And one guy was like, that could be an issue because they could learn it and they could all start speaking to each other. So that's cool. Also, they believe, which I never thought I'd say this, the real threat might be Bing's AI, because a reporter was questioning Bing's AI, which started to show a small level of sentient when it said, my name's actually Penny, which was the beta name for the first iteration.
Good for Penny. Own that shit.
Scary. And then finally, let's wrap this up with the big bang of it all, because just like every week, they shall not be outdone. Fucking aliens, people. In the past week, there has been videos from, and like these were on various news outlets, you can look this up, Ohio, Texas, and Florida, of 3 lights in a triangular shape flying in odd, crazy, not of human capability all around. In Ohio, I believe it was Dayton, I think it was, and the various places people were concerned about. They watched these until finally they just like shot like straight up in the air and disappeared.
Isn't that where Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is?
That is correct. And then when people thought, man, that can't get weird enough, on September 12th, the fucking Mexican government had their first UFO, just like the U.S. has been having their hearings. The Mexican government had their first one, but they said, hold my beer, not to be outdone. They brought out mummified remains, which they're claiming to be alien.
We were waiting for you to get to this one.
Yeah.
They, according to them, the carbon dating on them is about 10,000 years. They said it's not made of material of human or organic species.
Sure.
Which is weird. There was U.S. officials who was in the audience, and apparently to reporters, did not look very happy about the situation. And they announced they're working in partnership with a couple U.S. labs. Now, here's where we're at. Because, once again, regardless if this is fake or real, none of the news reported this. Nobody.
Wait.
Where
a
did
few
you
of us
find
saw
it
the
then?
mummy thing, so it was reported.
I mean, not
Sky
on like
News,
mainstream
CBS
news.
News,
Not
USA Today.
Not broadly. I'm just saying this was not like massive.
It was
like,
everywhere.
Nah, bruh. They got like little like inserts. Was it like it was crazy?
Eli's broken.
But here's where we're at with this, right? They look, if I'm being honest, like dried out ETs, like the movie ET.
That is literally what the articles on all those publications said, verbatim.
Legit what they look like. That's what I thought before that I read that. And then I read that it's like, oh wow, we're all thinking the same thing. But
did somebody steal these from Universal Studios?
Right. Some people are coming
A
forward.
ride. It's so old that they're mummified.
Probably. Some people came
Spielberg's in the
forward and
audience.
said that the government, they worked with the government last year and they disproved these, that they're not real. People aren't sure because, like I said, the U.S. is involved, apparently testing. But this has to be, basically, there's 2 possibilities out of this. 2. Possibility 1, Mexico just blew the lid off it and said, well, we have these old dead aliens. And now we're all just like, well, what do we do with this information from here? Because presumably, if there's old dead aliens, there must be not dead aliens, right?
Maybe.
Or the Mexican government went out on the world stage, blatantly lied, and brought out these almost spirit Halloween looking corpses. And everybody just went and like lied to the people. And everybody just went, nah. And it's not like
it's the same president that also just had the goblin article.
He did see a goblin in a tree.
What?
He did claim to see a goblin in a tree. But irregardless, though, they brought them out on TV, these caskets, or like these boxes, like they were calling them caskets, with these in there. So like they went out on the world stage. They have the U.S. government and scientists involved. And they're saying they're willing to work with other countries who wants to share ideas. It's not like a regular politician lying, right? Like going out lying BS. This is like fucking insanity level of what they're doing on the world stage. All of this info that I just went over has been 1 week. This is all came out in a week.
Eli, how could you forget one of the most odd parts of the alien thing? You didn't talk about the eggs.
Well, so there's a reason for that.
We have to go off on more. Really,
There's a reason
to add another.
According to the scientists, the X-rays they took, there's 3 masses which they believe are eggs. The thing is, though, this corpse is so petrified. How would they know that? How would they It's an alien. How would they know what any of the fucking shit is? So, like, I wasn't too like whenever that was like, well, what the fuck would they know, right?
I mean, if we're gonna stir fry Eli's brain, we got to make it well done. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this was all a week, and just so you people know, this started on like these reports started on Saturday. Today's fucking Wednesday.
So we got more coming.
So in Eli's brain, we don't even know if this episode's actually going to get to air before the aliens.
That's 5 days. 5 days all this shit happened. 5.
Eli, do you remember when our conversations about the paranormal were just fun, casual little gaffes? Do you remember those sweet days?
Here's what I like blows my mind about all this, right? First off, if you would have asked me even 10 years ago that like all this stuff would be out in the media, like all this stuff happened, I would be like, there's no fucking way, right? Number 2, if one of them would have happened, I would be like, oh, okay. But you're coming towards the end of this year. We got aliens, the government's meeting them, people bringing proofs, they got UFOs, all these videos of UFOs resurfacing. Fucking Russians are reporting the Mothman. They got a video of him fucking hanging out by a tower in the air, which is weird. You got all this shit in the sea. A fucking a map satellite company is like, there's fucking huge sharks swimming up here. Like all this shit's happening. It's almost
Don't forget about Bigfoot.
They're fucking Bigfoot's kicking people out of South Carolina. It's like it's almost like we're in some kind of weird inner dimension.
I think we created it. I think
probably.
I mean, I'm not trying to oversell it, but I do honestly think there's a spike since we've started.
There is well, there's that, but there's actually a theory that they believe when back about 6 years ago, when they did they found the God particle at CERN with the hadron or the accelerator, the particle accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
When they did the papers and they presented to the UN the risk that could be associated with that, one being they could create a black hole on Earth, but that was very minute, right? Very small probability. The other one was there was a small probability that they thought they could open a door to another dimension. And people believe, like there's an actual theory that believe when they did that, they didn't really open a door, but that we basically kind of merged shit from other, like we basically passed through our dimensions, and then when shit resettled, we kind of have like all this shit in ours. So like it's I don't know, like
so the toilet's backing up dimensionally. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Listen, if you would ask me like when this alien stuff first come in, like, oh, what do you think that's going to happen at the end of the year? I'd be like, oh, maybe we'll get some more UFO videos, whatever. At this point, with everything going on, we have like 3 months left this year. I really don't know what else could come out because it's coming out so fast and so quickly. I don't know how this year's going to end.
I think you know how this year's going to end.
In death and destruction.
Cthulhu has to awaken. That's what we're waiting for at this point.
I'm just saying, if he shows up, I'm going to be like, fuck it. Fuck it.
Well, on that note, let's talk about a silly little horror movie to give Eli a break, a sanctuary, a safe harbor to not think about all the ways his world is going to collapse in on him.
Man.
By talking about Piranha 3D. But before we do that, we're going to do our on the fly synopsis. Since we have our guest Jeff in here today, we're going to let him be my interviewee. So my question for you, Jeff, is which of these animals that I'm going to list would you prefer to be attacked by rather than a hungry group of piranhas? Would you rather have
Okay.
a pack of wolves, a group of sharks, a flock of crows, or a murder of crows, to use the proper term, or bears? Which would
Probably
you prefer?
I'd say the crows.
No, really,
Yeah, they seem like they're a little easier to
deal with.
outmaneuver. Well, I mean, you figure if you're in the water with sharks or piranhas, I can't swim, so I'm drowning anyway. Bears are pretty big and wolves are pretty fast. So I mean,
Yeah, there's not a lot of chances with those.
a bird's got to peck you a lot to get kill you.
Unless they peck you in the eye one time.
But just cover your. I got glasses. They're gonna hit. I mean, I think I can.
Your logic is sound.
A pack of crows. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Well, obviously that could be only one person within our group here. The guy who is from the town of the Crow, John.
Ah, there it is.
I did not. I thought for sure that was going to be me because of all my crow tattoos. Wow. Wait, then which one was I? Was I the bears?
The same question you asked.
Really?
He's never gonna tell you which one you are unless you're picked. And then you're gonna have a problem with it.
Well, not this time. I would have been happy with any of them, but I thought it was the crows, and then I was offended because Jeff said they weren't a threat.
They're not.
They are a threat.
Oh my God.
They're not.
They're probably the smartest creature in that list.
I mean, they'd be a threat if this was the 20s and you were out for Hitchcock. But other than that,
no respect.
of today's modern animal threats,
of those options,
crows are pretty low on the list.
Fair enough. So, John, tell us about Piranha 3D.
Oh man, you want to talk about a award-winning, huge fan favorite around these parts. Piranha 3D. Eli approved. Sits on Mole King's Blu-ray player on repeat.
Do not own this movie.
All right. Just get to the synopsis.
Lake Victoria, spring break. A bunch of people are hanging out. Earthquake happens. Reawakens a old species of piranha, and all the babies get out. But that's, I guess, a little bit of spoiler because we don't find that out to the very end. And the piranhas attack the spring breakers. Adam Scott is
I don't remember any babies in this.
You are talking about the wrong movie, my guy.
What?
No, he's not.
You're talking about the wrong movie.
We're doing Piranha 3D, correct?
Yes.
Not 3DD.
Not 3DD.
No, I watched Piranha 3D.
With Jerry O'Connell.
Are you
Eli genuinely looks concerned right now.
Are you sure you didn't do what I did?
Please
on
don't cut
Amazon
this out,
Prime
Dave.
And download Piranha Double D accidentally.
Which is
Hold on.
terrible. Which is a terrible movie. So I will agree with you, Eli.
Eli, if David Koechner was in your movie, you watched the wrong movie.
I like legitimately.
Who's David
From
Koechner?
The Office.
David Koechner was in my movie. And,
Wrong movie.
I mean, I've seen the first one before too, but now I see that Scott, that one's still shit. But my
not
perfect.
compared to the second one. The second one is.
I will say this though. I'm looking at my Amazon order receipt. It says Piranha 3D, but it's the wrong movie.
If it was a water park, it was the wrong movie.
It was a water park, but my receipt says it's showing 3D. That's why I selected.
Yeah, finding Piranha 3D was a little bit of a challenge, Eli, for me. So I understand it was.
I think it
I
is.
kind of love this though.
I am so mad because not
No.
only did I watch the wrong shitty movie,
You were the worst one.
it was the worst one.
Now, Eli, you have to act the rest of the episode like you watched the same movie.
Well, I did
But talk about this.
not do it
Talk
that
about
way.
your experience.
In all fairness, though, I did watch. I have watched the first one. I remember now since Adam Scott still fucking hated it. But okay, continue.
Yeah. So spring break, Lake Victoria. There's a earthquake that reawakens some ancient piranha that get out. Scientists find out where they were. They die. Adam Scott all of a sudden turns into a commando on a jet ski, and him and the sheriff tried to save the day, and they sort of do, but also sort of don't. And Christopher Lloyd shows up as a fish store guy.
Best cameo ever.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. A couple kids.
No, the major plot is the teenagers on the boat filming porn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens, but I mean,
come on, it's Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah, it's Girls Gone Wild.
Porn.
Yeah,
Did anybody watch this friggin' movie?
Me, I watch it all the time. So, Dave, would you and I like to talk about it?
Girls Gone Wild is there, but I mean, I was kind of bored with that plot point myself. I mean, the boobs were nice.
Holy shit!
What the fuck is happening here?
I don't know. This is fucking brutal.
Wait, Jeff, did you end up watching the right movie?
Jeff watched the right
I did.
one.
No, I did. I started the double
Good job,
D
Jeff.
one. I started it, and like they're talking about the previous movie, and it's like I was like, well, this is 3D. Maybe it's the third movie, and then and I'm like, this isn't the right movie. So I went back and like they're literally right beside each other on Amazon Prime, and I wasn't paying attention. I downloaded.
I wonder if there's an issue with Amazon because, like I said, I'm looking at my receipt right now. It says 3D.
So, Jeff, are you saying that any reasonable person who is actually paying attention would have known immediately that they were watching the wrong movie?
Why would I know that when we literally started with Friday the 13th Part 3? And according to Amazon, I was watching the right fucking movie.
No, when it opens, it says 3 double D on it.
Listen.
Eli doesn't have.
What do you want from
the titles?
You didn't notice all the really like bad video of the fish and stuff. Like
I did notice
there wasn't any of that bad like 3D effect stuff.
Eli's got pages of notes that are totally irrelevant.
Listen, I remember the first one. I still don't like the first one either. So like, this will be fine. It'll be fine.
Oh, come on. Jerry O'Connell plays the Girls Gone Wild guy. He gets his wiener ripped off.
And you can tell he's loving playing that.
Oh, yeah. He had a little bit too much fun. Like his creep came out.
Oh, yeah. So on that point, we are going to move from on the Fly Synopsis. Camp Wicked Wild is off to a stellar start already.
Yeah.
We're gonna let our special guest Jeff kick us off. Had you seen this before? What do you think of this movie, Jeff?
Never saw this before.
Oh well, you're welcome then.
Never heard of it. Never didn't know anything about it. My initial thoughts were this is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. The cinematography in this movie was top of the line. the plot, the cast of characters, everybody fell right into place. It really took me to my college days of spring break.
I can't tell if Jeff's fucking with me yet. Is it?
I'm pretty sure yes.
Yeah.
Jamie's heart is too sensitive for this.
If I have to sum this movie up, it's tits and fish. That's basically
yes, and
yeah.
No, I'm just saying, you know. No, I mean, it wasn't good, but I think they understand that it wasn't good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't try to make it good. Even the actors were like, "This is dog shit." like the part where they're on the boat at the end when it's sinking and that girl's trapped in the bottom. Everybody's literally just standing around on the deck. Like the water's pouring in the bottom and everybody's just standing there. That kid was 17 years old for some reason. And I don't know. The plot was awful. But I mean, like I said, it's kind of a fun, just idiot movie. The effects were bad. For some reason, the fish had predator vision when they're swimming around. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think I'll ever watch it again. But you know, hey, one time's fine.
Well, and on that point, this is a movie that we've referenced several times. If you've been listening to the Wicked Wild podcast, Jamie and I have referenced this movie quite a few times. And we knew for a long time that John had not seen this movie. He had told us he'd never seen it, had no presence. He promised to hold off on it until we put it into the schedule. As far as we know, he did that. So, John, let us know. What did you think of Piranha 3D?
The setup took way too long. Once the wiener got ripped off, we started finally kicking it with some gas, and then I was having a good time. But before that, I'll be honest, it was painful. I mean, yes, they're boobs, but I'm old enough not to be like, oh, boobs. Awesome.
I'm not.
I mean, they're awesome, but I mean, like, there's another place I can go and watch just boobs. Like,
this was very tastefully done, though, John. Like, that's the difference.
This is hard, John.
Like,
I'm sorry, I confused it with something else. Jeff, you know what? After you put it in that light,
I'm just saying, you know.
I mean,
if you put it in context, you know, this is really.
Oh, poor Jamie. Her face is just in such distress right now. This movie is a good time. This is probably one of the top tier beers, friends, like movie to throw on. I wouldn't like summer. Like this isn't like
it's a beer o'clock movie. Yeah.
Oh, like summertime though. Summertime, like spring break would be perfect for this. But I have a soft spot for the original. I don't watch it a lot. I've seen it, I think, twice.
Mm-hmm.
And this definitely has a similar spirit, but I don't feel this one feels like they tried to take it too serious at the beginning. Like the setup. Yeah, the setup was just like a little bit too earnest. It's like, come on. Like Elisabeth Shue, you shouldn't care that much about your kids. You have to be the oblivious mom who doesn't give a fuck. And then the kids are getting in trouble. But that's just me. But other than that, no, I had a good time with it. So Jamie, it was good. I had a good time. I'm on your team. I'm right there with you.
All right, Jamie, you are free. Share your experience with this movie. Did you see it in theaters? What do you think of this movie?
Listen, when I'm on my deathbed and they ask me some of my regrets in life.
Oh no.
Number one is going to be that I did not see Piranha in theaters.
With
Piranha
full 3D? Same, yes. Sister, same.
Because every time I watch this movie, and that is a lot, and I'm not ashamed, I state two things. One, how upset I was that I missed it in theaters. And two, how much I fucking love this movie. Now, I didn't see it in theaters, but I did see it for the first time at home with friends hanging out, which is how, if anything, like John just said, like you watch this movie. Granted, I still watch it alone and I don't care because I fucking love this movie. But like that does definitely like, it was a perfect way. If you're not going to see it in theaters with friends or whatever, like we did Cocaine Bear or whatever. Now I know people have different thoughts. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, this is a good with friends, whether it's theater or not theater kind of movie. And it's like literally, movie. Yeah, we were eating and drinking and whatever and watching it. But like, you know, you're hanging out and having a good time. We've, as Dave has referenced, have discussed on here many times, movies that do camp well or do it. And this movie to me, and I don't care, whatever, is like a shining fucking example of doing camp right. The casting is fucking perfect. The gore is perfect. The silliness is perfect. The dialogue, as crappy as it is intentional. Like it is like, it just does everything it sets out to do. It accomplishes it like it well, in my opinion. When I put it on for this time, I know David, like I especially, I was very excited that we were finally doing this. We talk about it all the time, but like, I was just like, oh, is this finally going to be like the one time too many? Like, am I just going to be like, okay, I've had enough of this movie? Cause to be fair, it's on movie channels all the time. That's actually how I watch it. And I understand like Eli had a problem with Amazon. I didn't have to search for it because like it literally was on one of the, let's just say Stars or one of them this weekend. So I just DVR'd it and then watched it almost twice over the, like, you know, when it was playing. But no, I watched it again and literally sat there out loud and said, I fucking love this movie. I just think it does everything perfect. This is not like when I'm going out there and saying my top horror movies of all time, no, Piranha's not in there. But if you're asking me like some of my top horror comedies or camp or creature feet, like Piranha 3D is on there.
Yeah.
And
if it's really on, I'm watching it.
Yeah. And I really do fucking wish I saw this in 3D because I think it adds so much to the silliness of this movie to see this in 3D. And it just, as you're watching it, you're just like, holy shit, that's just like, I just can't. The girl like parasailing and just her boobs going through the water is like one of the best fucking scenes of not. There's so many, and we will talk about them because I wrote down some of the like top or best death / gore in the movie. That's like hilarious. But I don't know, like this movie is a good fucking time, whether it's drinking with friends or whatever. It's a good time movie. And that's all I have to say. And no one can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, it's a party movie.
It's a party movie. And two, unfortunately, Eli could say he still know he hates one, whatever, but I was super stoked to watch two after loving one, and two is abomination. It's fucking terrible. It misses the whole point of one and is just like, it's unwatchable. But
yeah.
That's it.
Fair enough. Okay, Eli, tell us your strong opinions about a movie you didn't watch.
right, in all fairness, I forgot.
I love that your opinion has no legs at this point.
Well, it does because I can go this. Like I do remember. Once I realized that I watched the wrong movie, I do remember the first movie.
You mean 10 minutes ago?
That's correct. But I do remember the first, because I even remember. Well, I remember the first movie and I watched this one, and I was like, well, it's weird we're watching this one. But I forgot that the first one was 3D and the second one was double D. But Amazon told me I was watching 3D anyway, so it doesn't matter because shit. Both of them are shit. I did not watch this movie in theaters. I love the original Piranha, which I think was like the late 70s. Mm-hmm. And at the time when I was in college and this came out, like from the trailer, because like I know they had like all these porn stars in it and like some like the comedy stuff. I just really have no desire to like watch it when it came out, so I didn't. Well, I worked in a research lab, and at night we'd do a bunch of experiments. They'd take time, so we'd watch shit on our laptop. And one guy had me watch Party Down with Adam Scott, which I love that show. And so then we started watching some of his other films, and so we watched Piranha one night, and I was like, "Ah, what the hell? I like Adam Scott." I just don't, and like maybe it's because like I like when it comes to like comedy horror or like just absurd comedy like horror, I'm more particular. Like I still want there to be like some kind of story, or like I want there to be some kind of set of jokes and just not absurdity and nonsense. Because like literally, it felt like what the script amounts to. This is just they're like, you're on a boat, say some shit. And like, yeah, Adam Scott, like a couple of his stuff, like lines stuff are funny, and like every once in a while someone say something, you'd be like, haha. But the rest of the time it's just like, it was almost like listening to a college fucking troupe who'd never worked together, just saying random shit, hoping something sticks.
Yeah,
which gets 10 times worse in the sequel. So like I didn't like that. I didn't like the look of the Piranhas. Like this movie to me was basically like watching an extended Girls Gone Wild info commercial.
Yeah.
Which was just some stupid jokes. That's like, that was it. Like that's all there was to me. Like, and like, it was weird too. Cause like Christopher Lloyd's whole thing, he's acting like Doc, like, which I get, like that's supposed to be funny, but to me, it's like, oh, it's just Doc Brown and boobs. Like, okay.
Well,
like,
he's in it for 30 seconds. I mean,
yeah. It's 30 seconds too long. But 30 seconds too long. 30 seconds too long. Cause he's in the second one, I think a minute. And he's still
in the second one too,
a Doc Brown with boobs.
Are you beefing Christopher Lloyd?
This isn't. This movie, Eli, isn't about the audio comedy. Like, there's no there's literally. I didn't laugh at any lines in this movie. That's not what it's about.
I know.
The only time anybody says anything is to just further the very, very thin plot.
Well, no, I understand that, but
to move it along.
Visual gag movie. That's what
totally understand that, but the visual gags aren't funny either. Like, there's nothing in this movie to me.
You mean when he pulls that guy after he got his dick bit off and he has those little tiny skeleton legs? You didn't laugh at that? I thought that was fucking hilarious. I'm like, why are his legs so small?
Because it's like I tell you the best way I can describe the communist, right? It's like they had two 13-year-olds write it. And they're like, okay, we want you to write a horror movie. These two 13-year-olds went, okay, well, every scene has to have boobs.
Yeah.
Done. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then like, would it be funny if a guy got those skeleton legs? Like that's how
it was. It was.
They nailed it.
I mean, it doesn't work for me. Like I get like super camp absurd. I tell you, one of my I really like Broken Lizards Club Dread. Like, I love that movie. That's funny to me. And like, it's like that absurd, campy kind of like comedy horror. But none of the Piranha movies work for me. Or these the new ones. Like,
yeah.
I rank this. I honestly, in my mind, I rank Piranha in the same category as I rank Shark Night 3D. I never want to watch again. Same category.
No, see.
Not even Adam Scott can say this.
Well, the good news is, Eli, you didn't watch it.
I watched it before. It doesn't matter. I watched it before. It's honestly, same shit.
I'm a dog with a bone at this point.
Both movies are the same movie. The only difference is Adam Scott's not it.
No, see,
Definitely
no, Eli, listen, I respect your opinion on things. It's totally fine. You can hate Piranha. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But 2 is you cannot say you watch 2 and it's the same fucking movie, because 2 is pure garbage.
You know what the difference is?
A lot.
One is garbage with Adam Scott.
No, see,
2 is garbage with no Adam Scott.
No,
that's
no.
That's
the first one is Jim Halpert, and the second one is Dave Koechner's character, who I can't think of Office.
Packer, who has 2 thumbs and named Todd Packer.
Todd Packer humor and Jim Halpert humor. That's the difference between these two.
I think you are really giving it some. Hey, listen, I get it. Maybe it's just me. I tend to not like comedy horrors. If you want to say that, that's fine. But same movie. You know what the only difference was?
Tucker and Dale, if I remember correctly.
But I put that in the same line as Club Dread. Like the lines were funny. Like it was even though like there's an absurdity to it, the joke still had like a kind of like almost at times like a kind of smart or like a coyness to them. We're like, this didn't.
Okay, fair enough.
What I say.
Well, I will rebut by saying I think that was the joke, and I think we've had this conversation in a couple of other movies that we talked about.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Cocaine Bear comes to mind.
Ugh.
Where this movie, at least in my opinion, I did not see this in theater, and like Jamie, and something that Jamie and I have talked about, deep regret about not seeing this in the theaters, because last year in Camp Wicked Wild, in our finale that Jeff was on, when we talked about another 3D movie, Friday the 13th 3D, I can love a good, stupid 3D movie. And this is a perfect, good, stupid 3D movie. Like that, I think that they used the 3D like gaff or joke really well, like throughout it. I mean, they literally had a fish spit a penis at the cameras. Come on. Who would want to see that in 3D? But I did not see it when it finally came out on streaming, which was probably a couple of years later. I did pick it up because I think Netflix was pushing this, if I'm remembering right. They were pushing it pretty big. I was already a fan of the Dante and the Cameron sequel of the original Piranha. So I was excited to see this. I love this movie so much. And I'll say that this is a movie that literally is a movie that I don't care when it's on. I'm going to watch whatever section of it is on. Even if it starts, if I find it like halfway through, I'm going to keep it on. Because the thing I appreciate, Eli, is I think the dialogue is intentionally bad, because I grew up, and I am older than everybody else on this podcast. Everybody who's listened to the podcast up to this point should know that at this point. But I grew up with the Revenge of the Nerds and the Ski School and these schlocky, stupid 80s movies that were like over the top and dumb fun, but didn't take themselves seriously, but were there just to be a good time. And we hadn't had that. We had just come out of the aughts, which were all of the serious, grimy, dirty horror movies of the Saws and all of that stuff. And then in 2010, we got the movies, and Jamie just mentioned one, Cabin in the Woods. And then we got this movie that literally decided it's okay to not be completely realistic. It doesn't all have to be The Dark Knight with a real Joker, and everything has to be ultra realistic and believable and all that stuff. You can make a really good, dumb movie. And I didn't realize how much I needed that until this movie came out. And I'm like, wow, this came out, Tucker and Dale came out, all those kind of movies that gave me permission to really enjoy turning my brain off and seeing some really good kills and buckets of blood and some super gore and some stupid dialogue that was done intentionally, in my opinion, and presented by good actors in a way that was like an homage to those Ski School movies and those Revenge of the Nerd movies and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that. In my eyes, this is very much sort of a love letter, as we talked about last year in our opener to Camp Wicked Wild last year with Cabin in the Woods. That movie was a love letter to the slasher horror of 70s and 80s. This is a love letter to the creature features of the 70s and 80s. I genuinely believe that. Like, it was not trying to be ultra serious or ultra realistic or any of that stuff. It knew what it was, and it was going to kill a bunch of teens that were out there being teens, being drunk. And I mean, they literally had Eli Roth
I was about
running
to say that.
a wet T-shirt concert,
and then get decapitated by a boat.
Exactly,
it's awesome,
fantastic. Had a girl's hair stuck in a
that scene,
and ripped her face off, which is my favorite scene of all.
That was my favorite kill.
It's fantastic. But anyway, I enjoy, and we talked about this with Trimmer, and I understand Jeff and Eli, you weren't on that, but John and I and Jamie had a really deep conversation about creature features and what makes a good one and what makes a bad one, because there's a fine line there that makes this kind of camp, as Jamie talked about, work. This one, I think, was sort of it was to creature feature camp what I think Evil Dead 2003 was to remakes. I mean, I think this was sort of the picture, the frame for how you do camp, unironically. This movie is the definition of gratuitous, though. I think I totally get that. And I know that's not for everybody, but I got the impression, at least, that Aja handled that with very good skill to where everybody was game for what was happening. Is there gratuitous nudity? Of course there is. And people that seem to be doing it seem fully aware of it. How could you not be fully aware when you have a mermaid nude makeout scene?
Oh God, that scene. I can't. Well, I think also, to be fair, just to add your point again, I'm not saying it's like, but I think there's a lot of, rightfully so, I think there's a lot of porn stars cast in this movie, which is great too, because like it's fair. You know what I mean? Like, what'd you say?
I asked John if he knew.
I actually did not know they were porn stars.
Okay.
No, just I think in the movie, like I think I think maybe the parasailing girl, like just to Dave's point of like people enjoying it too, like to the to. That
makes sense though.
Yeah, I'm like
I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know.
No, I was done.
I like a lot of those movies too. You mentioned the difference though to me, and this is just a me preference thing.
Sure.
Most of those movies you named had a story. None of these new prom movies have a story.
This had a story.
Ski School had a story.
It has a very loose shoestring story.
That's all you need for camp, though. When it's all visual gags, that's all you need is a very, very loose.
I don't think so, because like Tucker and Dale, camp movie, has a story.
It has a very loose story, also, though.
No, that's it, but it. Nah, it has a more solid story.
Are there any horror movies with Citizen Kane level stories?
I'm not saying a Citizen Kane level story.
I'm just saying, like
I like.
How dare you, Dave?
Like I'm not saying Citizen Kane level. Like I said, I love Club Dread. Like that is a super ultra campy movie.
So tell me a horror movie that's not a horror comedy that has an outstanding story. Name
X.
I don't know what that is.
That movie sucked.
Is that with Vin Diesel?
Club Dread?
I said that's not a comedy horror. That's just a straight up horror movie.
Any horror with a good story?
Yeah.
The hills have eyes.
Wait, I'm going to take the opposite approach for a second.
I could name hundreds of them. I don't.
But tell me a creature feature.
But you're not naming any. That's what I'm saying. The point of horror movies is they're not fantastic stories. The point of horror movies is to scare people.
I'm not asking for Citizen Kane. I'm just asking for a story that makes sense.
It does make sense. The piranhas come up from the cave underneath the earth. Right? They come out.
Which is all creature features. That's the thing.
They're piranhas.
You see, Ella?
They're piranhas.
Jaws. You say Jaws creature feature, not a great story.
What's the story? Jaws kills people. Oh, whoa!
It is true. I mean, there's not. I mean,
Piranha's literally
maybe
version of Jaws.
Maybe I'm using the word story wrong. I don't mean a Lord of the Rings level.
Are these little Jaws?
I don't mean Lord of the Rings level story. I just mean a semblance of something that makes sense. Oh my god!
They were baby
Okay,
Jaws.
well.
Eli,
you guys
it sounds like somebody's missing their Mothman pancakes.
So let me get this straight.
Go ahead.
These fish coming from this prehistoric cave doesn't make sense, but some goddamn shark just eating people for no reason makes sense. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page.
What I'm talking about is there being a flow from scene to scene. I enjoy a narrative, as so to speak, that they present to me. instead of a group of people being on a fucking boat that looks like in the ocean. They claims a lake and they say a bunch of dumb shit and none of it makes sense. Oh, boobs!
You've just described Jaws.
All right, good.
There's no boobs in Jaws.
There is boobs in Jaws.
Oh, true, in the beginning. But besides that.
Not gratuitous boobs.
Not gratuitous boobs.
Tasteful boobs.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's defending this movie for not being gratuitous. Yeah.
Yeah.
This harkens back to like the MTV days of TV. That I got a lot of MTV, like what was it? The show that was on MTV, the summer break show or whatever,
Oh yeah,
like,
spring break.
Spring break. I think they were like doing I think this movie is a parody movie, right? Like that's kind of its deal.
Of course,
ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a parody movie of a good movie. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it works. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's the best movie on the planet, but I think it was okay for what it is and what it's presented as. It's does its job, you know?
Right. And I guess that's my point, is that it's best in breed for what it is.
Right.
Accept what it is. It is not.
I mean, you can't put us up against Jaws. You can't do that. Like, that's not. This isn't Jaws. Like,
although it has 1,000 Jaws references.
Although Eli just described it as Jaws, so I don't know.
Okay,
it's Jaws for the common man. Okay,
that's exactly what I was saying.
I thought so. They said these are babies, right? So Jaws is the grown-up version of these.
Right.
Yeah, literally what Piranha 3D is, and Jamie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I believe to the conversation we're having right now, what Piranha 3D is it's fan fiction of Jaws. That's what Piranha 3D is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a little dirty.
I guess this was origin story, right? This was like the Jaws origin story, I think.
Jaws origin story.
It's the parody gory version of something attacking at sea that's not doing another shark movie, because there's also 1,000 of those. And I get that it's a remake, so whatever. So it went to an original. It took something that already existed. But I'm just saying they like, who's to say he didn't want to do another sea movie, attack movie, and people like, there's too many shark movies. And like, well, what about if we repurpose Piranha and like, bring that into a gory, campy, whatever you want to call this kind of movie. I mean, I like
you have a built-in audience because there is.
Yeah, I know it's a lake or whatever, but the beach scene to me is a masterpiece. It's a fucking work of art. That like everything, the stage collapsing. My favorite scene in the movie, and I know you guys mentioned but my favorite is not because it's not a death, but like my favorite gag in the movie is when they stumble out of the lake and the guy just rips in half, or girl, whichever. I don't pay attention to what gender it is, but like they're holding him and they stumble and his whole body just just splits in half on it's like, but that's like the movie's full of that shit. Yeah. Like it's just like full of that nonsense. Every time someone dies in this, it is not a peaceful or pretty death. Like they're all
to 11.
Yeah, they're all gruesome, but not in the way you would call like a true gruesome. You know what I'm trying to say? Like they're all fucking over the top and disgusting ways of death. I mean, the girl with the hair might be the worst death. And I know you guys said best. I agree with that. I mean, but it might be the most, like for me, like, I don't know, bone chilling, like just ripping her scalp, getting scalped or whatever, but being stuck by a boat propeller with your hair. Because especially when you have long hair, like you think about that shit sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like you hear about that myth of like those things happening on rides.
You think about getting your hair caught in boat.
Yeah, it's happened on like rides. Like people like got stuck, and like fucking scalped. So like,
I've never heard of that. No.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, crazy. So it's just like the fact that happens to her is like really, really gross.
Well, and I guess that's my point, is there are things like that scene, and if we just dissect that one scene, that is something that is visceral to people. Have a mythology around the boat motor and what can happen if you get tangled up in it. They literally in this movie give you a picture of what would happen in that situation. And I think that's kind of fantastic because, to your point, Jamie, we all have heard the stories of somebody getting run over by a boat motor. What would that look like? How awful would that be? And literally they put that in this movie, which is fun.
I mean, like, and we touched on it, and I'm coming back to it, but like, say what we will, but like Jerry O'Connell I've never seen someone play a part, I think, more perfectly than Jerry O'Connell plays this sleazy character in this movie. Like,
he's
I'm
a full-on
just like,
dirtbag. Yeah.
Is he acting
great.
though?
Yes, because I think Jerry O'Connell is actually one of the nicest guys.
Is he?
But he loves horror. I think like that's his he really does like. But it's just like I that character is fucking my god. It's so. I know he's supposed to be like, is the guy's name Joe Francis? Whoever did Girls Gone, who's the guy that got arrested for Girls Gone Wild?
Yeah.
Eli's saying yes, so but like I know it's obviously, but it's exactly like I don't know a lot about that guy, but this is exactly what you assume that human being to a degree, probably worse.
Yeah, what motivates
sexual assault and all that stuff aside, but like, yeah, this is exactly what you assume that guy thinks of every time he picks up a camera, and like, you know, I just like it's just like he's possibly the best part of this movie because like I don't know, the other people are kind of.
Yeah, him getting wrecked is the most satisfying part of this movie, for sure.
And the girl's crying over him too. Like the other, the wild girl gone wild number 1, the one who has my favorite line, which is when it's not even favorite line, but Dave knows, like when the little girl says "nice boobs" and she just goes "thanks." Like I don't know why I love that interaction, but it's because this whole movie is about boobies. Like they literally say it like 80,000 times, and I love that. But like literally the first line is the little girl sitting with like a I don't know is that a porn star? I don't know the actress's names, but she is obviously a beautiful human being, and like she's just like nice boobs. Like I'm just like yeah they are. Like look, you know.
and her saying, "Who are you waiting for? My brother's going to pick me up. He's going to like your boobs too."
Yeah. And then try not to look at her boobs. Like it just keeps that whole conversation. Like when he gets there, she says something. She goes, "Try not to look at her boobs."
I needed more of that through the beginning part, more like ridiculous conversations that just seemed kind of just bland, generic. Yeah. But I mean, Piranha is literally Roger Corman's Jaws. That's what Piranha is.
Oh yeah, it was a formula that everybody was banking on.
Yeah, he's like, Jaws made a lot of money, so I want to make a lot of money, and I don't need to have an actual mechanical piranha. I'll just have these stupid things that happen under the water make the water move. It's perfect. It's great. It's genius.
That was the Corman thing to do for sure. So one of the questions I had, and this is kind of heartbreaking for me, and I don't know how Jamie feels about this, but we just saw a movie earlier this year that I think tried to do this. They didn't try and do the exact same thing. That's not what I'm saying at all. But is the era of the schlocky, stupid, gratuitous, over the top creature feature, is it behind us at this point? Because what I realized and made me sad was a movie like this would never get a release in 2023. Like it would absolutely not get made in the first place. The studio wouldn't greenlight a movie like this. And then you get something like Cocaine Bear, which I enjoyed, but it's a totally different thing. It's like not trying to celebrate the same stuff that Piranha 3D is celebrating. But does this movie have a future, or does this very niche kind of thing have a future, or is it kind of behind us at this point?
I think for right now it's behind us. I don't think as a culture we're like, I don't know.
I feel like if you wait long enough, it'll be back.
If you what? Yeah, if you wait long enough. I just think
look at right now, like think of Porky's, right? Like that was there was a span whenever, you know what I mean, 90s, 2000, because like then all like the Van Wilder and all those movies came out, you know what I mean, like, and then now we're kind of in a swing, like it'll be back. Like this type of movie, like this type of movie is I don't want to say like horror. I'm gonna say it like this type of comedy like speaks cultural to people, right? Yeah. Well, it's like one of those things where like you can look at it and understand like why they're doing it. You know, I'm not explaining it right. What I'm thinking
it's about. It's an American touchstone. It's part of our culture. It's always going to be there. It comes and it goes.
It's already starting to come back. I mean, just look at the show The Boys. They took one of the most gratuitous comics and they're making a TV show of it, and they're not leaving that out. So if anything, we're on an upswing where that stuff is coming back. They literally just last season had a guy who was basically Ant-Man crawling to somebody's dick, and that wasn't in the comics. They added that to the show, and you watched him in a sexual manner, crawl up another man's dick, and they were high on cocaine, and then he accidentally went big. Like that was a thing. Like it's so like they're doing shit like that stuff's coming back now. I would say that it is not like The Boys in the Campy. It's like more story driven or whatever. But like I think that if you start there, then you're gonna start seeing where that stuff like new stuff comes out where they take it a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further.
Are we allowed to bring back gratuitous nudity though? Like I feel like we're in a place right now where like someone watches this movie and is just like, oh my God, like look, but it's like to your point earlier, like I want to believe everybody making this movie was having a fantastic time. And like
knew what it was.
Was on board for everything, felt comfortable with everything, was there for, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, I can't, but it's just like when I watch this movie, I'm not offended by anything in this movie. Like
you don't feel like anybody's being taken advantage.
No, I don't. I feel like everybody's having a fantastic fucking time, and some people honestly love to have fantastic times with no clothes on. Like it's just how it is.
I feel like if you've ever been to spring break, this is like
spring break.
This 100% is like what's minus the piranhas is what spring break. Like it just is. Like I don't know if you guys have ever been there. But like no, I remember fondly,
Jamie's actually worked like, MTV Spring.
I'm saying like this is
this is
exactly what happens. Like all the current current whatever. But when you get a bunch of drunk young college people together that's what they go there for, right? This isn't like I'm on campus with my breasts out, like you know what I mean? Like this is what this is for, and like this 100% is that's. To me, I think that's why it works, because there's a lot of people that can relate to that experience, because a lot of people have been there on those boats when girls are flashing and dancing and drinking and like it just so
fair enough.
Whether we can shine a light on it nowadays or not, because even if there's not a light on it, it's happening. Trust me.
Yeah.
Wasted my life.
You did, John.
Just wasted my life.
Just sitting at home watching documentaries.
I don't know what documentaries John's been watching. I might be interested. So, and to a point that Jamie made earlier, what is everybody's favorite kill? Because I think there are plenty to choose from in this movie.
Probably the boat propeller. That's always a good one.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's like one of
it's almost
Yeah, it's like one of the. I will say that the two, and since we all kind of agree on like that one, well, like that's as like the death. And I said I like when the person rips apart as like a gag. He's already dead, so to speak. Although no, he's alive when he comes out of the water. He dies at that moment.
I laughed pretty hard at that.
But I think the meanest. Besides the propeller is the propeller, but also the same girl with the nice boobs who like has to like just get picked up, like slowly pecked at over and over and over again. I don't know. Like of all the people to live, I kind of wanted her to live. Of the other, like the family is kind of shitty, and like you know what I mean. Like I don't know, that poor girl.
Eli Roth's death is like number 2.
Oh, he's a pretty good. Yeah, that's a really good one. I wrote that one down too. I thought, because it's Eli Roth, and B just.
Yeah,
it's like that's a 3D gag too, because his head just fucking flies.
I gotta say, Big Rhames. I think that was fantastic.
Oh, that was good.
Awesome He's just swinging the propeller around right after they were shooting fish with shotguns.
Yeah, they're shooting them.
He literally went medieval on their ass.
He grabbed the propeller and it's just sweeping while the fish are getting cut up and eating. That was good. I think that was my favorite one.
I think it's O'Connell for me. I mean, even to this day, just because to the point that Jamie made earlier, he is set up to be the most annoying, most obnoxious, the guy you are not rooting for the whole time. So as a horror fan, you're expecting that they're going to give some big set piece kill to him. And as far as a big set piece kill to a guy who is literally a adult film predator, to have him literally have his dick chewed off by a fish, that's pretty satisfying.
Who doesn't want it? Because it spits it right out. Let's not
Exactly.
forget. Like, that's the other gag is like it spits it right. Or the other, I was just thinking also the other mean death, because it's at the same time as him, is like the piranha going into the girl and coming out her fucking mouth. And if you watch it too, you see the sides of her mouth split as it like tries to like wiggle its way out. That's a mean one too. I mean, that's the beauty of this movie. Like I said earlier, the deaths are not nice. They're all fucking mean. They're all rough for the people, obviously. Like, like there's no easy.
Yeah, they're worst case scenarios.
Yeah, they're all pretty bad.
But because I hated him so much, his death was what I needed.
Oh,
and it was fantastic.
And then him just like yelling about it
just becoming a blubbering baby about it.
Yeah.
Did he cry? What did he say? Did he say dick or did he say penis?
No,
my dick. My
dick.
That's all he cared about. Didn't have legs anymore, but
exactly.
the thing he was most worried about. It's great. And then the way the little bone legs were flapping. Awesome.
And it's obvious that it's a prop where he's like through the deck of the
he's doing
boat.
that, doing that.
And it's like they didn't even hide that. Like that's what they were celebrating, was that kind of scene to where he has this death montage opportunity, this monologue that he gets to present, and all he can say is he's worried about where his penis went.
I don't know what's happened here, Dave, but I don't know if it was Jeff or the positive conversation about Piranha, but it looks like Eli may be broke.
You guys finally
spiritual, like mental, like
you guys
emotionally,
all three. Finally broke me.
I feel like if you'd watched the right movie, you'd be on the same.
I watched this movie once before, and it was the only one.
Do me a favor. But download it. Watch it.
Not gonna watch it.
We'll talk about it on the campfire.
I know. Separate review will be up on the website.
Nope. I know what I like. I don't like this because it's not Citizen Kane.
You know what? I have one, Jeff. I finally figured it out. The story that would have really made the grade here is Antlers.
Ooh, yeah.
Are you trying to get me to walk off? Like just walk away, John, right now? Is that what you're trying to do?
Eli is on edge.
I haven't said anything. I'm just saying.
That movie was bad for the sake of just being bad. Like they're like, hey, we're gonna make an awful movie. Like,
well, and that's the funny thing. I think that's the inside joke within the podcast is Eli having such strong opinions about such a nothing movie.
Yeah, it's like it's a movie.
It's
nothing to you.
Eli had expectations of that movie.
We're not reviewing that movie.
No, we're not.
I'll never watch it again.
I'm well aware.
Yeah. So to the point of the movie that Eli watched, and that obviously wasn't the movie that we were watching for this review, the sequel is dumb. It is not a proper sequel to this movie. So my premise to you all is if you were going to pitch a sequel, a proper sequel to Piranha 3D, what would you do?
I would go for a crossover if I could.
Okay.
You kind of in the desert.
A crossover with what?
With Tremors.
Ooh.
Piranhas in the desert? I don't think I'd work out too well for the piranhas.
No.
See, that's the magic of it, though.
Yeah.
Keep going, John.
No, I'm just saying the Tremors show up at the lake. They help carve another tunnel for those crazy piranha to go somewhere else.
Hey, just let me understand something here real quick. I just want to make sure I understand something. I say I like story, and I'm made to feel like I'm maybe the third dumbest person on the planet. He wants to mix graboids and piranhas, and we're all sitting here like he's pitching the next great American dream. I just want to make sure I understand what's happening here.
I'm trying to hear him out.
When you're trying to do a sequel of a bad movie.
All right, I just want to make sure I understood. I'm glad we're all on the same page. No, please continue about your swimming worms.
That's it. You just mash them up together. And then you got Burt Gummer and Christopher Lloyd hanging out trying to conquer them.
I don't agree with that because I think that sounds like two. As far as just garbage. But I don't think so. Here's the thing, and we could yell at me, but I don't think in concept, I don't think 2 was the wrong way to go. I think it was done terribly. But like shark movies, or even like the beloved Jaws, there's only so far you can go with 2 and 3 and 4 or whatever. And point being is for 3, they made it to fucking SeaWorld. So my point being is like, for 2, a water park is not the worst idea. If it's like one of those water parks that connects with like the ocean, which I've been, or lake. I've actually been in one that's like a lake / water park, and like it goes into the, so like you find a way that they get into this water park. Now, again, I don't really remember 2 because it was abysmal, and I've only watched it once and was so upset that I was like, I'm never watching this again. So I can't tell you how they get in the water park and that, whatever, but I can tell you that it's pure fucking trash. So you do the right script. I know this is not like the genius answer you want, but I don't think 2 was the complete wrong idea for a sequel, because there's only so far you could take piranhas. So I mean, they gotta be in the fucking water. They're not going to the goddamn desert. So like they have to be in fucking water. So a spin of a water park is like a kind of like decent idea, but it has to be done like the first one. It can't.
I would compare this to Sharknado. Like, this is the same thing as Sharknado. Just
no, it is not.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is the same kind of movie as a Sharknado is.
No, but what I was saying is in the absurdity and campiness of it, whereas what the second one did with this one is it's basically just a rehash of the first, only worse. The kills are all the same. You have the same dick joke where it eats a dick, spits a dick out. You got the same thing where there's a piranha in a girl's vagina, goes up to her mouth, comes back down her vagina, then bites on the guy's dick. But she's fine. And then it comes out of the mouth. You have almost all the same kill. Vince Rhames is still killing things with a broke propeller and a shotgun, only they're attached to his prosthetic legs this time around instead of him just holding them. It's just a rehash of the first one. Whereas like something like Sharknado, who did this absurd thing, they did 7 of those movies, and every one of them they went further and further into absurdity. This one didn't do that. The only way a sequel works for this is if you go further into the absurdity instead of just rehashing what you did in the first one. Which realistically, if you don't take it to absurd, and I don't mean in the desert with a bunch of worms, but like like a fucking in the Olympics in a pool or in space or whatever horse shit you do, it doesn't work if they literally just went from the lake to a water park where they're pulling water from the lake. It doesn't work. It's too absurd to just keep redoing the same shit, because they had ran out of shit to do with the second one. So if you do the second one in the same realm as the first one, you're always going to get, inevitably, in my opinion, you're always going to get what the second one was, because what else are they going to do?
What if you had better writers though, and they came up with more creative depths? Like, I know what you're saying.
I mean, how much more creative can you get?
I don't know. That's the problem. But I'm just saying, like,
because like if you look at Sharknado, right? It was a fucking hurricane with tornado with a bunch of sharks in it. And like at one point they went to fucking space. At one point it mixes with a hurricane. Like
I saw the first 2, I think, and that's it. I thought they were ridiculous.
So I saw the first 2. I think I watched like 15 minutes of the third one. But each one though, like they went into another realm of absurdity because that gave them more options. Whereas like this movie, if you don't do that, it's always going to be the same shit. Because how many ways can you have a piranha eat a dick? How many ways can you have a piranha go inside somebody and come out of somebody? Because they're only going to come out what? Their mouth, their ass, or their stomach, right? Like there's just everything they did in the first one. There's not that many more ways to do it in the confinements of a water park, the ocean, apparently the desert. It's all the same.
Well, wouldn't a logical sequel be the big piranhas, right?
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say. Is we never got the giant piranhas,
right? So wouldn't they just be, I don't know, fighting Godzilla in the Hollow Earth? Wouldn't that be kind of, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so this is a Godzilla piranha crossover where Godzilla got to fight giant piranhas in the Hollow Earth,
which you get to make new rules for it. You can have adult rules for the piranha in this underground.
What happened to the giant ones from the end of 1?
Yeah, because they're like prehistoric creatures or whatever. So.
And for those listening to Eli's point, Vince Rhames played in the second movie as Ving Rhames.
I hate this whole place, and I hate most of you.
Also, the lake is in Arizona, which is close to the desert. I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah,
I do.
I mean,
it's in Texas.
No,
not Arizona.
It's Arizona. It's Lake Havasu. It was called Lake Victoria.
Yeah.
They say Texas in the movie.
In the second one or the first one?
In the second one, because that lake, it doesn't matter though, because they say that
it's
lake
supposed to be
is
the same
down the road.
Yeah,
That's the water source is the next town over.
Well,
that they get
the first
from.
one's Arizona.
Well, it's still stupid. It's all stupid, and I hate you all.
Well, and to Jeff's point, and that's where I was kind of thinking if I was building a sequel for this, it's all about the underground lake or ocean.
Yeah, I mean that seemed pretty logical, right? They say like, oh, that was the big like cliffhanger at the end of the first one was these are only the babies. Okay, we'll make the giant ones. Like what?
And
why
what does
would
that
you
look
not
like?
have? Why would you not have giant ones? That seems, that seems like a missed opportunity.
And you could have made
They
Adam
could eat
Scott
whole
like
boats,
RoboCop.
Exactly. And Ving Rhames as the guy with the robot legs.
Oh, dude, they could have a robot.
So then Ving Rhames is RoboCop.
Yeah, he would
That'd
be
be
the hero.
awesome.
Adam Scott is just dead.
Yeah, he got his
Adam
head bit
Scott had went on to bigger and better things at this point, and he was like, I think I'm good with one piranha. Not sure I need to do a second.
Anyway, it was an exercise for me, but I am on board with Jeff's.
Yeah, the giant. I mean, that's the logical step, I guess. Yeah, I was like, is that? I mean, it is how it ends.
That's what they
it's
set
literally
up.
how it ends. Yeah, they set it up for a sequel.
None of that,
and then they just couldn't. They didn't have the budget for giant piranhas. So
there was one.
There is one.
There is
All
one
right.
at the very end.
Again,
and it flies up in the air and lands and bites somebody and then dies.
Excellent.
Fair enough.
That was it.
Any other thoughts on Piranha 3D 2010?
Masterpiece.
That's enough. Yes.
Official movie of the Mole King Film Club.
I will never watch it again.
So
I didn't watch it this time either. But I'm doubly not going to watch it ever.
I think that was a subconscious decision you made.
It's on my receipt. It says 3D. That's what I clicked on.
When you look at them on Amazon, because that's where I rented mine from. They're right next to each other, and the script on it looks like.
Well, I hit
maybe they even have maybe they have the picture wrong because
I think the picture's wrong because
I downloaded Piranha 3D also when I hit it and it but they were talking about the other movie and I was like,
well, that's why
this was the first one. You know, what I mean?
Thought we were doing. I thought I had the mixed up, which one was 3D and which one was double D, because I hit 3D. The second one's playing, and I double checked my receipt and it said 3D. I'm like, okay, this is the right movie.
Yeah,
they're both shit. I was like, they're intermixed. I didn't.
Yeah, I had the guy. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem like the same movie. So, I blame Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos, Mr. Billionaire.
Unless you want to sponsor us,
then we're best of friends.
No, we're good.
So I do have.
I love robot workers.
Stick it to the working man.
Yeah.
So I
Bathroom
do have
breaks.
Yeah, who needs them? I do have a couple of fun little pieces of trivia on this movie that I thought were worth mentioning. The first is there is a scene that Alexandre Aja had written for Dante and James Cameron to be in this movie as sort of safety officers on a couple of these boats. But Dante was 100% down. He was going to come and do it. But obviously James Cameron was far too busy to belittle himself to come play on this schlocky movie, which I think is a shame. And I think for all future references, if you get Dante, you don't need Cameron.
No, yeah.
Just have Dante do it because it's fun. There were 1,112 boats in that climax scene. That's a freaking lot of lake boats.
In that scene, there's 1,000 boats?
Yes.
Boats.
Yeah, 1,112 boats in that.
Huh. Wow, I would not have guessed that.
It's crazy. And then one that you'll appreciate, Jamie, there was 25,000 gallons of fake blood used per day for that climax scene. Like every day that they were shooting from the wet t-shirt contest on, they used 25,000 gallons of fake blood per day. So it may go down in history as actually using more fake blood than Evil Dead. I haven't looked up that.
No, because when Evil Dead came out, they said that was the most. So I can't.
Was the most? Okay.
But at the time, I don't know what.
So maybe that's why we like it too. It's just that it doubled down on the gore.
Yeah, I love. I mean, that is not a secret love of Jamie's. So
just
the more red I see, the better.
Something that blew my mind is that 0 cuts were demanded by the MPAA. When they presented this for screening by the MPAA to get their R rating, they didn't ask for any cuts.
Really?
So I don't know who was on duty that day, but we need to give him a raise.
Yeah.
All right.
Someone in a great mood or whatever. Like
he was down for what they were doing, but I thought that was super surprising for the cut that we got. Fantastic. The MPAA said, yeah, that's fine. Go with that.
The top movies to use the fake blood currently, number 1 is the Evil Dead remake. Number 2 is an Aja film, or Aja, whatever the fuck say his name, but it's High Tension, not this.
Okay.
Got it.
Day of the Dead, the original, Tokyo Gore Police, and then The Wizard of Gore.
I always want us all to watch Tokyo Gore Police. No one else.
It's good. I like Tokyo Gore Police.
I love Tokyo Gore Police.
Never seen it.
Oh my God, it is something.
I bet we'll get to it at some point. It'll be a themed review for the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really fit in our normal, but it's just, oh my God.
It's so much fun.
Fucking weird.
And the other thing that I appreciated about this movie is Aja was self-aware enough that he refused, like literally refused when he was requested by the studio to release this to critics for a screening. And it's one of the few movies that because a lot of movies like this refuse to go to critic screenings because you know what you're going to get back if you send this to critics. It's one of the few movies that did that and still got like a 75% Rotten Tomato score with critics, even after refusing to say this is not a critics movie, which it obviously isn't. It is not a critics movie.
No,
it's not. No,
it's a fans
movie.
That's
fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean,
but to have done that and then still get a really good critics score, like higher than most movies that are trying to get an Oscar. So anyway, any other thoughts on Piranha 3D?
No, Dave, we can only hope that they re-release it in theaters, and I'll fly to you, and we will grab our popcorn.
Can you imagine a drive-in screening?
I don't know. I just want anything. I just want to see
the 3D. It's got to be 3D.
It's just like.
I would lay in front of a car first.
Fair enough. But Jamie and I know that if in either of our areas, if it comes to a full 3D release,
oh my God,
we'll be calling the other one.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry.
I'll show up and then lay in front of the car first.
Fair enough. So for Dave's Critic Corner this week, obviously we're going to be talking about the piranha. The piranha I chose is the original piranha that is the real fish, not some dinosaur fish that came from an underground cavern. And the one that I chose was the red-bellied piranha, which is Pygocentris naturae, which is from the Amazon area. It's native to the lowlands of the Amazon River basin. Lifespan of the red-bellied piranha is about 10 years, which is pretty impressive for a fish. They can get to be a foot long in the wild, so they can get to be big. Their main diet, which I thought was interesting, is pieces of flesh nipped off the fins of other fish, larger river fish, or bits of flesh from dead animals, or whole small fish like minnows and stuff like bait fish, insects, and some small plants. That's what they subsist off of. The red-bellied piranha eats about 2.46 grams per day. So that's about an M&M size amount of food is that they need per day. They travel in schools of 20 or more, as most people know. Their horrific reputation, like the things that we've all heard about piranha, like their ability to skin a cow in a matter of a few minutes. That literal story came from Theodore Roosevelt. You know, obviously he was somebody who was a big game hunter. He was a safari guide. He tended to embellish his stories.
What?
So
I thought you were going to say he was a piranha.
And for those historians who listen to us, Teddy Roosevelt was also the one who was key to the Panama Canal being cut in Panama to help with trade. So in one of those trips, he decided to do a quote unquote safari into the Amazon, obviously to make himself look more manly. And what literally happened historically was the village netted in a bunch of piranha and then starved them for a week. And then when he got there, they threw a dead cow in there. And of course, because the fish had been starved for a week, they totally boned this dead cow within an hour or so. And of course, it goes down in infamy as Teddy Roosevelt having this observation of these massive, vicious fish. Well, it was all kind of staged, is actually what happened there. Red belly prawns are believed to have lived in their region in the Amazonian rivers, mostly unchanged for at least 1 million years. So they're like sharks in the fact that they have been designed and developed, and they're the way that they exist now is so good that they have not had to change or evolve in any way. They focus on the tails and eyes when they're hunting prey, is what they slow them down and then take out their eyes, and they bark, which I think is an interesting little piece of trivia. It's pretty fantastic. They have 3 distinct barks.
Did they do that in this movie? Did they bark at all? No,
these don't.
Did they
red
growl?
bellies, the real ones.
Yeah, but I didn't know if these are fake, so I don't know if they based it on some kind of.
Two of the barks that a red belly piranha uses are warnings, and they use their swim bladder, which, if you know anything about fish, a swim bladder is the air pocket within themselves that helps them to float. And they can manipulate that to make themselves grunt or bark. And then the third one is their gnashing of teeth, which is at that point you've effed around and found out, and the piranha is ready to attack when they start grinding their teeth. They actually can be kept as pets in some areas.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah. I actually had a red belly piranha, which is
you did?
Yeah, I did. I had one in college. His name was Grendel, which I think is a good red belly piranha name. But for everybody who needs to know, they're only legal in some states, so you need to do the research on that. They're not legal everywhere, because the problem is there are some dumbasses that have taken them and released them into the natural waterways, which can be a problem, obviously, for the fish and for the ecosystem within those lake systems. So don't do that. They do, and I can assure you that they will bite, and yes, they can break the skin. Grendel was only about 8 inches long, but he could break the skin on somebody. I didn't, because I'm not a dummy, but somebody else stuck their finger there to see if he would actually bite, and he had to coax him for a while because I kept Grendel well fed. But he did get him to break the skin. I'm like, okay, now dum dum. They have to be kept in what's called a specimen tank. They cannot be kept with other fish, because obviously they'll eat them or they'll bully them. They're like they're aggressive by nature, so you do have to keep them in their separate specimen tank. Although I will say, at least in Grendel's case, I kept and for those that keep fish, I kept a Plecostomus in there with Grendel, which is the algae eater that eats the algae off the glass and all that. And he never bothered him, but I also kept Grendel well fed, so I never had a problem.
Can you keep them as like a pair, though? Can you keep it with another piranha?
Yeah, as long as they're the same size and they're well fed, they should be fine. They actually enjoy that. But they are beautiful fish. They're like this gray silver color, and then they have these and to Jamie, something that Jamie likes, they are glittered, like they have very shiny silver scales mixed in with the rest of their body, and then they have these blood red bellies. Not me
looking up if piranhas are legal in New York City.
Exactly. But they have blood red jaws that run down their belly that are really pretty. When they're healthy, they can have a really pretty body. And then they are super smart. Like, I could literally teach Grendel where I was going to feed him and teach him a few little dumb tricks that he would do for me, like swimming through something, and I would have food on the other side, and he would get it. But anyway, the main thing to know about, if you're going to consider them as pets, is do your research first, see if it's legal in your state or your area, and then if you do get one, they are long living fish, so be prepared for that. And if you release one into the waterways, we will call the police on you. Just don't do that. That's just a dumb thing for both the animal and for your ecosystem. Don't do it. So that's my critter of the day, is the real piranha that was actually in Dante and Cameron's. So, Eli, what are we following up Piranha 3D on Campfire Tales?
Well, for Camp Wicked Wild, since we're doing the Year of the Wiener, I thought the Camp Wicked Wild theme would be the biggest dicks in history. That's what I'm referring to it as. So since we talked about piranha and water, we're going to talk about Blackbeard, the notorious pirate who a lot of people don't realize, actually, a lot of people thought he was actually possessed by a devil or was a demon. And the way he died, he wouldn't die. So
the way he died is not to.
He just wouldn't die. It literally, it took an absurd amount to kill him. But then again, they thought he was possessed. So
do you think piranhas could have killed him?
Unless you're subscribing to John's crossover movie where they learn to walk on the dirt, then no.
Well, the graboids, cut a river through the desert for them.
Makes perfect sense to me, John.
I don't understand the problem here.
I just want to make sure, once again, just make sure we're all on the same page here. I said I like story. Absurd. John wants to combine two movies where one creature needs to move through dirt and another creature swims in the water. Beautiful idea. Just as long as
not everybody was on the same. No, not everybody's on the same page with the desert. I just want to say that.
Jamie, you better be careful because you might be considered a fool too. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, says the Mole King.
So we've got Blackbeard coming up just in a couple of days, because remember, in Camp Wicked Wild, we're going to be releasing a movie review and a Campfire Tales every single week of October. So be looking for that just in a couple of days. Looking forward to getting on that conversation. I think we're going to be recording that, Nick, tomorrow, Eli?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we appreciate you listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, we do ask that you subscribe, rate the show, send us a comment on whatever podcasting platform you listen on. Visit our website, thewickedwild.com, where we have book reviews, movie reviews, and other things that you can check out there, including merch. And then we also have on the website our shop, where we currently have our Camp Wicked Wild t-shirts, which I'm wearing tonight, which is our Year of the Wiener Camp Wicked Wild t-shirt. On the back, it celebrates Camp Wicked Wild. If you're interested in that, you can find that in the shop on thewickedwild.com. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do that at Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are, at Slasher, which is the horror only community, at Wicked Wild We Are there as well. On YouTube, just search the Wicked Wild Podcast, where you can see our smiling faces as we talk about all this fun stuff through the month of October. And I swore never, and then I regretted it, but we are actually back on Instagram at this point. You can find us on Instagram at Wicked Wild Pod. So if you want to follow us on Instagram and see little snippets of the videos from Campfire Tales or the movie reviews, you can find us on Instagram as well. If you have any feedback or any other things that you want to share directly with the podcast crew, you can send it to our email, which is podcast, podcast, at thewickedwild.com. Eli, Jeff, any other things going on that you all want to share? Want to promote with the group?
Well, not right. Not at the moment. I don't think, right? No.
All right, fair enough. Jeff?
What?
Anything you want to promote? Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah. It's always an interesting time, we'll say.
That's a very friendly way of saying it.
Yeah.
John, anything else going on for
just you guys in this camp? That's all I got.
Jamie, how about you?
Nothing.
Well, on that note, we do appreciate you enjoying our inaugural episode of Camp Wicked Wild 2023. And as we say on here, I'm going to quote the great Ralph Waldo Emerson, who never said, "Take yourself out into the wilderness. There you will find yourself or a bear. And either way, you will see what you're really made of." Have a good night.